Somebody writes in via Twitter, I was laughing today at the Dan Le Batard podcast making fun of Amin for throwing out his back once while brushing his teeth. And I just did the same thing to myself this evening. Amin did not throw out his back brushing his teeth, bending over. He just threw out his back, just gave. My mother fell down the other day, and we thought she broke her hip when she landed, but her hip broke before she landed. Amin wasn't bending over to hurt his back. His back just broke because of the act of brushing his teeth. And I'm assuming it's not because of the vigor with which you brush your teeth.
Nope.
It's just things are falling apart now.
Electric toothbrush, Dano, it does all the work for me. All I have to do is slightly adjust it and move it to different parts
So
of my
you
mouth.
threw out your back with an electric toothbrush?
Hard
Not
to-
even cranking it with
hard
a
to do.
regular?
No, it was just holding it and then moving like, okay, let's move to this
For the
part.
audience, is your mom okay?
Yes.
I wasn't done talking about my toothbrushing.
Well, it's just you just lobbed that in there and just worried. You know,
Like
that's a bad one.
Yes, but hip surgeries at this point in technology are easier and better than they have ever been. So a lot of people get pain relief from that. So it's not the inevitable descent of an old person that often happens when they break their hip. She's actually in less pain than she was before.
Oh,
Titanium.
that's great.
bionic hip,
I
yeah.
was worried
The
because
rare.
a few weeks ago when this happened, I told you that my grandfather fell and broke his hip around the same age, and you asked how he did, and I lied and said fine, but he actually died like a week later.
Stugotz did the
From a
same
broken
thing.
hip?
Stugotz actually stopped himself mid-sentence because I told him when I got the news, I said I had to leave to go handle it. And Stugotz immediately went, my mom, that's how she died.
Wait.
And I'm like, thank you,
Is
Stugotz.
this real?
Yes.
You can die from a broken hip?
Well, it's not from the hip. It's a big surgery
It's a
and
huge one.
anesthesia. And my grandfather had dementia, so the anesthesia was really hard on him. It wasn't like the hip itself killed him.
It was hard
the
on my
surgery's tough.
It was hard on my mother too because she was wheeled into the hospital room afterward and she's looking at me and she says, "Who were all those people?" And I said, "What people?" And she was like, "There were a bunch of rich people all around me throwing money in the air." And I'm like, "Mom, you think you were invited to a party in your hospital bed and gown where there were a bunch of rich people throwing money in the air over your hospital bed?" And she's like, "That's the drugs, isn't it?" And
That
I'm like,
happened to my
"Yes."
grandfather. He thought this was during, remember the Chilean miner incident?
Yeah.
He thought the miners were in his hospital room
Yeah.
because he was watching it on the news.
That
while
would
he
have
was
been a
recovering.
story.
Yeah.
I love like where the human brain will go, right? Like in those moments, like your grandfather had been watching on the news and the brain said, "I know what I'll do. Hold on, watch this." Miners is as far as the eye can see. All right, go on, guys. Pickaxes, a little hats.
There's a
with the
drill
light
that
on
comes
it.
out in the middle of the floor. Like,
Make it as real as possible for old Grandpa Smetana.
Frank,
Grandpa Frank.
We will get to the
rest in peace.
updating of the tournament in a moment. Stugotz really did do that. It's like his thoughts tumble out before he
Of all the
realizes
times to
what
be
he's
honest for him, and Jess is the one that actually had the helpful lie.
doing. I'm getting the news, and that was Stugotz's immediate reaction to just stare at me and basically say, "Yeah, your mom's going to die soon."
But what are statistically the odds of your mother's dying from the same thing? I feel like has to be low,
Well,
right?
I think when I got the call, I was immediately terrified because I do assume that that's the beginning of the end for old people when they break their hip, that you have to be very careful about falling down
It's
when
a
you're that
cliche
age.
at this point. Yeah.
Now, Dan, you said she actually broke her hip prior to falling. How did she break her hip?
I just believe that everything
Yeah, how did she
was...
brock it?
I think doctors can
Break
just
her
tell when they see like how it happened. Like they see
The
how
all
it
eye
broke.
test.
Way to go, Amin. Excellent work by you at the end of this. You lost all your energy singing Nickelback poorly. Chris Cody, incidentally, did anyone tell you that you sounded a little like Springsteen when trying to summon Nickelback?
It's they're similar. Like
They're
they're in the
derivative,
same. You
yeah.
got to get in your throat. Like
Well,
All
It
of
is a little
butt rock,
Springsteen.
all of butt rock was listened to Eddie Vedder growing up, and they all tried to do the Eddie Vedder voice.
I just sing from my throat, and I sound like either of them.
Shakira?
Better.
not
That was
quite-
Shakira.
Not quite
That
the
was
same.
Shakira.
Mike Ryan, one of the many reasons that I am frustrated with the local hour, Billy refused to answer any of my questions
He also refused to mention the score from last night.
in a timely manner. And you continue as I ask you, what is butt rock? It's like asking you, what is justice, what is law? And you just name lawyers. You still have not told me what butt rock
I feel
is.
like I've told you what butt rock is 20 times. It's 3 doors down. It's people that grew up listening to Pearl Jam. I read a helpful playlist for you. Butt rock, you know it when you hear it. It's Creed.
All right,
it's Scott Stapp's stylist.
All right, so when I ask you what pornography is, you just name porn stars because it's porn.
You know when you see it, Dano.
Okay, you know it when you see
Yeah,
it. All right.
it's someone screaming, you look so much better with something in your mouth. It's automatic Slims. It's peak automatic Slims.
One of the things before we update the tournament that I wanted to ask you guys, because a lot of people enjoyed yesterday Bert Kreischer being on with us, and a lot of people were sending us some of his other clips. He does a great podcast, Two Bears, One Cave with Tom Segura, and they just sent me the clip of those two guys laughing for what seemed like 90 seconds about the fact that Kreischer walks around with what looks like a giant hydrating bottle of water, and it's just Kool-Aid. It's half a gallon of sugar.
He starts his day every day like it's a cup of coffee.
That's
with
right.
Kool-Aid.
That's
It's
right.
a
Can't
great
be
clip
good for you, right?
I love that clip.
No, it can't be good for you.
We had an assistant coach. His name was Phil Weber. He's actually here in Miami. I think he coached Sioux Falls. He used to come every single day to coach his meetings with a 64-ounce. You guys don't have Circle K out here, but like the Thirst Buster huge
It's
mug.
called a big gulp down here.
Yeah, with the handle of Diet Coke.
We got
What?
one of those in the other
Yeah,
room.
that crazy guy over
Diet
there.
Coke
What's
every
his name?
day. He comes in. Cougs.
For
Cougs,
real?
Cougs
Yeah.
drinks like 90
but,
Diet
like,
Cokes
That's
a day.
There's a
It's
lot
bad
of
for
people.
you.
Diet Coke is just some people get into Diet Coke and it's like it's like their coffee.
The Van Gundys. Both of them.
Yes.
They're both into it.
We don't have Circle K's down here. I grew up around Circle K's. Did they stop?
There's a couple in the Keys I've seen.
I thought there
Circle
were
Ks.
Circle K's down here.
I've seen them up more towards Central Florida, but South Florida, it's not really a thing.
No.
I think Circle K's bought like some of the local chains, so now they're more prevalent in the southeast.
Very big in the West. Very, very big.
But
Circle.
what I wanted to say to you guys, as I saw those two guys just lose it laughing, and it's contagious for two guys to lose it, or two people to lose it laughing for 90 seconds, it made me think of the other day on NFL Live. For some reason, because a lot of free agency money was being thrown around, a lot of cash was being thrown on the set, and Orlovsky was picking up the cash the way that a stripper would pick up cash off of the floor. And while they were talking about it, everyone lost it laughing hysterically. And the thing that I wanted to ask you guys is, why don't you see that more on sports television? Because the authentic, not the chuckle fest, but the authentic people losing it laughing, that's always contagious. Everyone loves it when everyone is laughing. Why? What is it about the lack of intimacy or the veneer on television that keeps people in sports entertainment, the game business, a fun business, from just losing it laughing on television? I don't see it very often.
Dan, as someone who worked on a show called Sports Nation, where we had many of those moments, I can tell you why. Because most people in sports aren't funny. So they don't have opportunities to laugh that hard because most people aren't funny. Or if they are, they're afraid to be funny.
Or are just not talented enough to overcome their genuine dislike for their castmates.
People hate each other.
A lot of fake Stugotz laughter on television. Wow. See, it's awesome.
Speaking of Orlovsky, many people were pointing out, and
I can't. This is my favorite thing.
We're gonna have to go to break.
If someone says I can't, they can. They can. I can.
We're gonna settle down and go to break real soon.
When we come back,
When we come back, you guys are crazy.
a cow who refuses to moo.
Orlovsky got people a titter, because he does this often with some weirdnesses, when he said that he doesn't wash a towel for 30 dryings, that he will go 30 dryings without rewashing a towel. Chris Cody, you don't know how to clean yourself.
I mean, I was gonna say, like, I take a little offense to that white guys thing being sent there. I would. You guys would
You're
probably
a
look
30
at me.
guy?
No, I'm like once a week. I get to do a towel like on like Sunday. I switch my towel out usually. I
With the sheets, right? That's how I do. Like when I do the
Towels
sheets.
and sheets.
Towels and sheets. There you go. She gets it.
What is the normal amount of time? What is the right amount of time? Because everybody was shaming Dan Orlovsky, and Jessica was saying that she thinks that Orlovsky enjoys this, enjoys when his weirdness is. Whittingham enjoys this some. It's a bit of I don't know if it's a fetish, but enjoys when his weirdnesses are out for everyone to mock.
Flaunt the oddities. Orlovsky does that with like food. Like apparently Orlovsky, like he eats just plain chicken, and that's like
he'll say something crazy like, "Oh my God, soy sauce is so spicy."
He is white,
and then he'll be like, "Hee hee."
Soy sauce is so spicy.
When I do the math on the towel thing, is it 2 weeks where he does 2 showers a day, where it turns 15 to 30?
Tony,
2 weeks?
I was doing the same math because he strikes me as someone who still does like a morning workout routine.
Right.
So maybe he's showering twice a day. Even that being said, every 15th day when you're showering twice a day, that towel has to be in tatters by the end
It
of
is
it.
a damp towel.
Well, that's the
Permanently
thing.
moldy.
If you're doing it twice a day, you are now drying the second time with a moist towel.
You must have silverfish like all over your house. Those things love damp
Where do they
towels.
come from?
I don't know.
Because I don't know where they come from.
They just are everywhere.
I gotta ask Ron McGill that.
what's
Where do
silverfish?
silverfish come from?
They're like these little tiny gross bugs. I've seen them more in Miami than I've seen them at any other city I've lived in. Maybe it's a common thing down here because of the humidity, but I've heard that they like moist towels and like areas with moisture.
Ew.
Gross.
Or just general swampy humidity. What would be the right number of times, though? Once a week also sounds like it's not quite sufficient.
Getting warmer. I do the old sniff test. Sometimes you know it. It's like butt rock. You know it when you know it.
You know when you smell it.
Precisely. Just like butt rock.
Do you guys have a hair towel?
No.
Is that just a long
My wife
hair
does.
thing?
No.
My wife does, yeah.
Because that one, I don't wash that. Like, I don't wash my hair every time I shower. So that one, I'll wash maybe like once every 2 weeks.
Do you wear the shower cap?
I have like a little like thing that I fold under.
People always look ridiculous in shower caps.
Yeah. It still has not a lot of advancements.
Put it on
for
the
the
poll.
aesthetics
put
of
it,
shower
Put it on the
caps.
poll, Juju. Does anyone look good, cool in a shower cap at Le Batard Show? Another oddity I saw this in the New York Post. Somebody, and I don't know how rare this is, it's not something I've ever seen, somebody put their toilet seat in the dry cleaner, or the washing machine, rather, the dishwasher, the dishwasher. Put it in, I took it off of the toilet and put it in the dishwasher, the place where, things are cleaned after you eat on them. And I've never seen that before, and I thought that was unusual. It's not a place I would want my toilet seat.
Never seen that before, but pretty genius. I mean,
Pretty
bacteria.
genius?
Yeah,
What do
bacteria
you
can't
mean?
live inside the dishwasher, so it's at a temperature where everything.
Are we
will get
sure
cleaned.
about
Yeah.
that? Because here's something that happens to me sometimes with the dishwasher. The thing that I take out of the dishwasher will still have like some gross stuff on it occasionally. And I don't know if it's safe if I just rinse it and put it back, or if I should run that shit again.
I run it back. If you got shit on you, you gotta go back, bro. Sorry. I look at the glass, it got like a piece of spinach from something else. No, you gotta go back.
Is it like germ-free spinach though? That's what I
don't-
mean.
the spinach has
do
been
all the germs
cauterized?
get
Yeah.
sucked out of it?
I
No,
don't
the
care.
bacteria is killed because of the heat.
I don't care. You gotta go back.
You gotta go back.
You gotta come back looking spick and span.
Mini Express Rafan de Dia, that's called un invento. That's what that's called, un invento. Like, what are you doing? You're just inventing shit at this point. Let me just put the toilet cover inside of the dishwasher. Like,
Yeah.
what are we doing?
I'll tell you what we're doing. I'll tell you exactly what we're doing. Looking for attention. This started during the pandemic when you saw people cooking in their toilet and all that stuff.
How do you do that, by the way? How do you cook in a toilet?
They pour like boiling hot
Tell
water.
me you've never
and
been to
stuff.
prison.
Tell you
Without
never-
telling me you've never been to prison.
Tell me you've never been on TikTok without. Tell me you've never been
TikTok free home?
What are you talking about? People cooking in their toilet?
I know
You
you,
never
can make
seen
wine
these
in your
TikTok
toilet.
videos?
Let my boy cook.
Look, literally, they'll take like pasta noodles and shove it in there, and then put buckets of hot water, and then they'll mix it up with like a wooden spoon.
But I
in
mean,
there.
there's like an empty hole that
They- they
filters
plug-
into
they
the.
plug it up with something. There's tons of these videos. There was the ones, remember, the girls that were licking the toilet bowls, and then they caught COVID licking toilet seats and stuff.
I remember the people licking the ice cream, and I think they got charged with a crime. Do you remember that one?
I think
They were going
so.
to the grocery store,
Oh,
licking
yeah,
the
yes.
ice cream.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they're still in jail.
So
Juju, put it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. Did you see anyone on TikTok cooking in their toilet?
I don't think I
Weird.
ever saw
It's a
that
weird
one.
one.
What is your algorithm?
Cooking in.
What little I saw, made me wince of the Jalen Rose, Ja Morant interview. Made me wince for a number of different reasons. Ja Morant seems a little bit ill-equipped to handle this controversy and talk about things the way that the brands and the league might want him to talk about some of these things. What were your thoughts? Jalen Rose, incidentally, we celebrated Jalen Rose for some of the things that he said on air when this controversy made an appearance, but I do think there are dangers sometimes in having the athletes do the journalism, even though the athletes are the access point on how it is you get Ja Morant to sit down, and so you take the dilution of a softer interview because an athlete isn't taught how to do a journalistic interview. What I saw was soft and didn't seem to serve anybody except ESPN, which was televising the Cavs-Sixers game, and an exclusive interview with Ja Morant, who hasn't talked to anybody after his controversy, is going to get eyeballs. So it doesn't matter how good it actually is. All you need, if you're the media partner, is please get me the famous guy to sit down so I can say we got the famous guy sitting down. And it's sort of the illusion of access because there are league partnerships here. He could sit down with whoever he wants. Aaron Rodgers just did all of that with Pat McAfee, and it was 500,000 people were viewing it at one point, and the estimates were that's worth $1 million, what Aaron Rodgers did with Pat McAfee yesterday. You don't have to do it with the league partner, but this seems to be a lot of people around the economy of basketball and Ja Morant orchestrating an interview so Ja Morant can move on to the next stage of his branding.
I don't. That's the biggest question I had is why is Ja doing this? Someone at the game last night showed it to me, and we both looked at each other like, why is he agreeing to do this? He doesn't. The suspension came down. He did this interview in New York after he sat down with the commissioner and figured out what the suspension was. All he had to do is serve out a suspension, come back, have a press conference, say, "Yep, I was dumb. It's not going to happen again," and then go out and play basketball, and that's it. That's all the brand management he needed. Instead, he sat there, and it's funny, Dan, you said like Jalen Rose was soft. I thought Jalen Rose hit him with hard questions. He just didn't follow up when the answers were just ridiculous, right? So Jalen Rose asked him whose gun was it, and I was like, whoa. And I'm thinking, why is Ja's people allowing him to sit there and be asked whose gun was it? That's an insane question to subject yourself to.
Let's hear the answer. Let's hear the back and forth on that, courtesy of ESPN.
You at the spot, Shotgun Willie's. I've been there. You are holding a gun, and we both know how dangerous that can be. Whose gun were you holding?
Well, the gun wasn't mine. It's not who I am. I don't condone any type of violence, but I take full responsibility for my actions. Made a bad mistake, and I can see the image that I painted over myself with my recent mistakes. But in the future, I'm gonna show everybody who Ja really is, what I'm about, and change this narrative.
Felt like talking points. He did
Third person.
He did go to counseling, got Reiki treatments, worked on his breathing, did some therapy. But when you say the follow-ups were week-to-week answers, explain to the people who haven't heard it. The whole interview hasn't run yet, right? They're going to milk it a little bit so that people can hear the entirety of the interview. But what do you mean by soft rebuttals to answers that were silly?
Not soft rebuttals, no rebuttals. So he asked him, for instance, whose gun was it? And his answer was not mine. I didn't ask you, is it your gun? I said, whose gun is it? But you just allow that answer to slide. Later on, he asks him, shed some light. He used the term shed some light multiple times about
the other incidents.
And, for instance, your mother at the mall. And John's answer was, that's my mom. And then they just moved on to the next question. I said, we're trying to figure out the behavior that was exhibited in these incidents, and why you were going through that. It was for me. My first reaction was, why is Ja doing this? This isn't like he's suspended indefinitely and we don't know when he's going to come back. And so now I got to do the Pete Rose thing. Show America I'm contrite, I'm sorry.
But isn't that the answer? The answer is, I want my voice on something other than that Instagram live video. I want to get out there with the contrition, with this is not who I am. I'm going to say again and again, this is not who I am.
Statement.
I did enjoy, Jalen, thank you for doing that. Shotgun Willies, I've been there.
The spot.
What was that about?
It's bona fides. That's what that's about.
It was bona
That's
fides.
Connection point?
That's
Yeah.
Jalen
You were
reminding.
you were also holding a gun, and we both know how bad that is.
Yeah. I mean, but I think that part, honestly, I think that's Jalen kind of like letting it be known, I'm not coming holier than thou.
He's trying to make him comfortable.
He's trying to make him comfortable, but also because Jalen is, I think, smartly, he's trying to be clear, I'm not coming in holier than thou. I've done this kind of stuff. I've been to those places. I know what it's like. There's nothing wrong with it, right? What's wrong is that you brought a gun into the situation. So I do think he was doing that to kind of not only make Ja feel comfortable, but also to stop anyone from saying, oh, Jalen Rose, you're one to talk. Shotgun Willies, have you ever been there? It's like, yes, I have.
But what do you make of that's not who I am when you were in the middle of all of those things? He says some of the information is sealed. He can't talk about some of the other incidents because the other incidents involve going to a mall with 9 other people because apparently his mom had been disrespected. The other incident is a basketball argument that involved a 17-year-old on his property, leaving with a knot on his head and alleging that Ja flashed a gun at him. That's not who I am is what the answer is to your question of why is Ja doing this.
But isn't that what we've been saying all along? That's not who Ja is? Like that, whether you're saying it in a positive fashion, like that's not who Ja is, he's a great guy, or people saying it on the other side in a negative way. That's not who he is, he's faking it. He's a studio gangster. Either way, I think it's unanimous. We all know Ja is not a gun-toting gangster.
You think the silence would have served him better?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you serve your 8 games, you come back, you put out a statement, took a lot of time, go out there, play well, help your team win. People forget about it.
Is there any chance that this interview was one of the terms of a quicker reinstatement?
I thought about that, but I would say I don't think the commissioner would say you have to do it with this outlet.
This league partner.
Right. Like,
Jalen Rose makes perfect sense because Jalen Rose had that moment on television where he was like leveling to him, athlete to athlete. Look, I've been there.
Yeah,
but he was kind of like a handpicked guy.
Flip side is that typically NBA players turn to Turner when they want to do these kind of heart-to-heart emotional things. Like the Turner broadcast, for whatever reason, comes across as more authentically player-driven than ESPN's does.
Well, that's been the lament for 20 years.
Yeah.
Is there any real harm here? Or does playing good basketball erase all of it? It's just a polarizing blip for the moment that makes him slightly more infamous, slightly more famous, and now he's whatever he is, 23 years old. He's very young.
The most extreme example that comes to mind is Kobe Bryant. Like he literally was accused of one of the most heinous acts. Came back off it. There was no criminal trial. He settled the civil suit and then proceeded to have a Hall of Fame career with basketball. But within like 3 years, it's gone. It's from 2004 to 2007 when people are saying he should have been MVP. The 3 years, right? And the only reason it took that long was he was hurt for a couple, like 04, 05, he was hurt. 05, 06, they were okay. They weren't that great. And in 06, 07, they were, again, a little bit better. But if, like, where Ja is, a level of excellence in performance, I don't think it takes that long.
Do you guys think that anybody in the audience, in sports fandom, or even at this point in media companies cares in a real and legitimate way about whether the interview is done well or not?
No.
It's just access, right? It's just the whole point of it is we got Ja. And that's it. Nothing after that matters for anybody in the media company. That whether the interview is an 8 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 in terms of how strong the interviewer is.
Two things. One,
and incidentally, I should say, in defense of Jalen Rose, there may be follow-ups that were edited out and that will be in the next clip or the next showing of all this stuff, the longer version. But just this left me unsatisfied that there weren't follow-up questions.
I think there's two things. One is that we got it, and two was that people watched it, right? That's really the thing, is that how much did we move the needle by having this, regardless if it was good or not. We talked about this a long time ago when LeBron and those guys at Uninterrupted got into, hey, we're signing all these athletes to podcasts, right? Because the idea is like, why would Draymond Green give to a scrum the quote that he could then just give on his own podcast that companies would then have to credit, thus driving up the value of the podcast? But it doesn't matter what he says. All that matters is that we're getting this thing quoted and thus adding value to the pod.
So we'll watch like the entire interview, presumably on NBA Countdown, and we'll find out the answer to whose gun it belonged to. And the answer is very clearly it's Mike Fratello's.
Bizarre.
That's all you've got? Do you have anything else?
That was good, though. Sorry, that was good. That was good.
What else do you need from me, buddy?
I think I'm a big baseball guy now.
You are. I heard that about you. Yeah.
I recognize Francisco Lindor, which is more than Stugotz can
Pretty
say.
sure you said F. Lindor.
Yeah, I was doing that.
He didn't know the first name.
No, I was doing that for effect.
Oh.
That one was more painful to me than your Laurie Markkinen troubles, you lot. That Laurie
Don't
Markkinen
look at
was
me.
sad.
I
But
haven't been a part of any of these.
I nailed Laurie Markkinen.
I think Mike and I are the leader in the clubhouses.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say you nailed it.
I nailed it. I knew who it was.
I think that's accurate.
Lindor, I had no
haven't
clue.
nailed a single one.
No, I knew.
Tony,
you asked for
I knew.
so
You're
many.
honestly the most entertaining part of those.
I know Mick Cronin.
It's
I knew Mick
because
Cronin.
you
right?
do this
You
thing.
asked for so many.
Tony makes it painful. He never knows, but he asks 7 follow. It's like, just say I don't know. You're not helping.
And it always starts with, "Oh, this is my guy." And then we go on for 5 minutes with you trying to figure out who your guy is.
You'll just start picking teams out of your ass.
Yeah.
Like, oh, he's a buck, right?
This guy's a Padre, right? Padre? Padre?
This one I thought it was my guy from the Nationals.
No, these people aren't your guys.
No, hold on. You know my guy. He played really well. Hold on. Mike sure knows. Hold on. Mike sure knows.
How many guys do you have?
For all we know, you could be talking about Asdrubal Cabrera.
No, not Asdrubal Cabrera. He was a young guy, played really well in the World Series a couple years ago. What's his name?
Soto.
Thank you, Juju Gotti.
Dude, my
guy,
God.
I thought it was
Soto
Juan
at the
Soto.
very
I don't know.
Anthony, Juan Soto is double the size of Francisco Lindor.
Brother, I'm
if
looking
you
at his
saw,
face.
If you
I'm looking
saw
at his
them next to
face.
each
I don't
other,
know.
it's like Stanton standing next to Jose
Okay,
Reyes.
but Chris, we're not doing measurements of, hey, this guy's 6'7".
He's your
that's not
guy.
what he
You
is.
know this.
I know, but I have a lot of guys, man.
Juan Soto is somebody that you confused with Francisco Lindor. Who that is exposing a lot of holes in the.
Notice Dan never plays this game.
Yeah.
You gotta get Dan in this game.
Yeah.
Why are we the ones that get to look bad?
A lot of critics out there that haven't had Taylor shove a phone in your face at 8:30 and try to embarrass you in front of a
Applauded.
nation.
I don't think there are a lot of critics out there. I believe I'm the critic here who has pointed out that you should know what Francisco
Mike
Lindor it looks like if he's on your team.
I now have enough.
Also, Soto is Dominican and Lindor is Puerto Rican. That's racist.
I mean, that's a good point.
The real question here is, did Taylor ask you and you declined, or is he terrified to ask you?
He's asked me one time in the middle of prep I was doing, and I shoot him
So he's
out
afraid
of
of you. Yeah, he's afraid of you.
Intimidation. That's how you guys do it.
He's doing something.
Yeah.
Mike Schur is with us
He
now.
said, why are you looking at me?
I now have a data point that suggests that one of my least favorite things to do is have a phone stuck with a baseball player's face attached to it in my face at 8:30 in the morning.
I'm really, really concerned about Stugotz's general fandom dying. I think we need to have an announcement. It's not just because he doesn't know the high-paid shortstop on his own team. It's what happened yesterday where Mike Greenberg, a Jets fan, says publicly, and a grizzled Jets fan, and an older than Stugotz Jets fan, says that Aaron Rodgers saying what he said yesterday is a top 5 moment in Mike Greenberg's life. That's what Mike Greenberg said. Top 5 moment in my life, and Stugotz left left here yawning
Wait, Mike
yesterday.
Greenberg is older than Stugotz?
Wow,
Yeah.
you just blew my mind.
Yeah, he's
gotta
like
be.
60.
Oh my God.
Mike Greenberg, according to Google, is 55 years
Stugotz
old.
looks so
yeah.
bad.
Stugotz is 50.
Stugotz is 50 years old?
He just
Stugotz.
turned 50. I drew him a birthday card, guys. Remember?
Oh, brother.
He's deteriorated a lot in the last couple of years.
Cigarettes, buddy.
I'm just going to check on it.
Let's do stat of the day here with Mike Schur.
Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is your start of the day. Start of the day, start of the day. It is the start of the day.
Stat of the day is brought to you by Venmo. Venmo, your money, your move.
Thanks for turning on original sound so I could hear the music.
You're welcome.
Folks, it's Thursday. You know what that means. It's time for an NBA three-pointer. 3 NBA stats of the day. We do this every Thursday on the Dan Le Batard Show with Stugotz. Point number 1. The other night against the Bucks, Domantas Sabonis of my beloved Sacramento Kings, 23, 17, and 15 with 10 offensive rebounds. Here's a list of guys in NBA history who have had that game. Number 1, Domantas Sabonis of my beloved Sacramento Kings a couple nights ago against the Bucks. End of list. In fact, there's only one other guy who's had that game with 5 offensive rebounds, which is Russ on December 15th, 2017. By the way, here's how dominant the Bucks are. Domantas Sabonis, 23, 17, 15, 10 offensive boards. For the game, he was minus 19, and the Kings lost at home by 9 points. Nobody's beating the Bucks this year.
They're really good.
They're so good.
And people seem to be ignoring it. They're largely ignoring how good a champion is.
They're so good. Point number 2. The Dallas Mavericks, 6-9 in the first 15 games since Kyrie joined Luka. Also, last night, neither of them played, and they won.
I mean, are you assuming, real quick, we'll get to this. Are you assuming that Kyrie Irving's going to end up a Laker next year?
I believe there's sound somewhere, we don't have it, but of Jovan Buha of The Athletic saying the Lakers will not pursue Kyrie this offseason.
So you don't have an opinion?
Well, I just told you that what you just asked me has been kind of clarified via reporting that is not likely to happen.
Sound that we don't have.
Yeah, I got mixed up. I got to do a radio show after this, and so they're like, "We got the sound." I'm like, "Oh yeah, great!" And I was like, "Ah, shit."
Great, excellent work by you, Mike. Sure, continue, please.
There are multiple data points now that suggest that getting Kyrie Irving is bad for your basketball team. So I don't know why any team would actually go after him. But point number 3 on the NBA three-pointer, Duncan Robinson of the Miami Heat, 0 for 1 from 3 last night. He has been paid $276,125.63 for every three-pointer he has hit this season. Congrats to Duncan Robinson.
He's
on
a
great
shell
year.
of himself.
He enjoyed. Mike sure enjoyed that. Look at the smile. Look, he's radiant. Look how happy he is. He's post-coital. Look at
They
him.
won. They won by 19. I had to find something to take heart in.
Well, let's talk about this for a second, because your obsession with hating the Miami Heat, we all believe around here to be a kind of passion that's unhealthy for you, that it's getting in the way of your life balance, your life happiness, and your work life. We believe that you can't be paying this much attention to the Miami Heat, hating them with this kind of ferocity, and live a normal life.
Watch me. Last night on the Celtics broadcast, they started talking about how there were some Celtics fans out there who were overly concerned about the Miami Heat. Scal talked about it for like 30 seconds. And I swear to God, they were talking about me. This isn't narcissism. I think they listened to the Bill Simmons podcast that I did and heard me and Bill complaining about the Heat. I'll take it. I will happily take that. I will happily own that. But I swear to God, who else is talking about the Heat as much as I am and how worried I am?
It's the strangest. Yeah. It's the strangest thing. They're like 4 or 5 games over 500. They're playing quality.
But you know what he's done? He's actually pulled out quite a heady play, because if the Celtics beat the Heat, then it's like, okay, I was worried about nothing. But if the Celtics lose to the Heat, then he gets to say, I was the one. I told you guys. I told you guys to watch out.
It's actually better than that. If the Celtics beat the Heat, I take credit for sounding the alarm.
Oh.
It's because of me that they won, because no one was concerned about them. I made them pay attention and prepare properly. And if the Heat win, I get to come on this show and crow about how I was right, which hedges me emotionally from losing to the Heat in the first round.
Were you disoriented and confused and flabbergasted by the number 138 on the Heat side of the scoreboard? Because
this is what's really bad, right? Is now suddenly they're starting to shoot. Now they shoot like 40-something% from three, and they hit like 55% from the floor last night. They scored 138 points against the presumptive depoy in Jaren Jackson Jr. And now it's like just at the right time, suddenly here they come. Now they can shoot again, except for Duncan Robinson, who can't shoot and never will be able to shoot again.
I am rooting for one thing for this Heat season. It's powered by Butt Rock. I want them to be propelled into the 7th seed and take on the Celtics in the first round. It's, oh, God, give me that. Just give me that.
I kind of want the Celtics to fall behind Philly so they play the Knicks in the first round.
You're such a coward. Your hatred as fuel means nothing, because your hatred is just camouflage for your fear.
Hatred and fear. Hatred and fear. That's what I live by.
Here.
See you later, Mike. Good talking to you. Talk to you tomorrow. I am often stupefied by the spectrum around here.
What's up?
Between laziness, I appreciate you speaking up here, between laziness, indifference, and just reckless incompetence. Chris Cody, who has to broadcast a spring training game with Billy Gill tomorrow, an opportunity that a lot of people would cherish and love.
Don't reveal this.
Just said,
Don't
we
this.
all heard it,
Dan,
just said I should probably look up who they're playing.
Yeah, it's called show prep. You're not familiar? Should I have done it 3 weeks ago? Or do you want it fresh in my mind the day before? I mean, geez, it's like you haven't done TV before, even though I'm doing radio. 940 Wins or the MLB app. Check us out. I'm going to bring it, Dano. Look, they bring us there for the Jazz hands, okay? How much prep can I do on Jazz hands? They're playing the Cardinals. They still have, all their guys aren't going to be there because Goldschmidt and all the good players are. Nolan Arenado, can we talk about him for a second? Here's a little nugget for you.
Oh.
Nolan Arenado is coming for Brooks Robinson stuff. I think he might be the best defensive player in the history of baseball. You know, he's won a Gold Glove in his first 10 years.
He's an excellent
Brooks
defensive
Robinson
player.
did something similar in the 60s and 70s. But I'm just saying, he's on pace to be the best fielder of all time.
This is him with 5 minutes of prep.
Yeah, this is just off the cuff.
I'm beginning to
But
side with him.
he's analyzing a player who's not going to play for them tomorrow because their stars aren't coming.
I can't bring up Nolan Arenado tomorrow when we're doing a Cardinals game. That's a great talking point for tomorrow. Best defensive player ever.
Just learned he wasn't a Rocky anymore, so that's great.
Season preview.
But I'm ready to go, Dan. I'm going to bring it. I'm a gamer. You know, when the lights are on, I'll be there. Me and Kyle Seeloff and Billy, great chemistry.
Tell people again where they can find you guys tomorrow and what time they can find you as you're just reading through some prep during the broadcast.
Being told that Arenado hasn't been a Rocky for 3 seasons.
No, he's not a Rocky. He's a Cardinal.
Yeah, no, I just learned this.
You can check us out 940 locally or marlins.com/MLB, the app.
A tweeter writes in, "Hey Le Batard Show, it's day 4 since the Last of Us finale. How long until we get the shipping container review? Hashtag you don't get the show." The Last of Us was Sunday. I got to be honest, I have one criticism. Needed more zombies.
I agree with you. I agree. What happened to the gross mushroom fungus people after like episode 4? They were all kind of gone. We needed more in the finale. I'm with you.
They were trying to do an artful display where the humans were the monsters. The humans were the monsters.
So,
You're never happy.
I want more mushroom men.
So, just to be clear, so you know how they get to Salt Lake City and they try to climb through. Well, spoiler
Should we
alert.
give a spoiler warning?
It's not really a spoiler, but like they climb the skyscraper to get a lay of the land and see where they are. In the game, that is like massive zombie attacks that you have to dip and dodge. You got to go through the basement to get to the other side of the street and all that, and you unearth a bunch of zombies that were laying in sleep or whatever. So there's a lot more zombies in that portion.
We don't say zombies. We say infected.
Zombies is, I'm okay
infected.
saying zombies instead of infected.
They're the infected.
Tony, you've been wanting to talk about this for days, and now the people are clamoring. They want your opinion on this. Your thoughts were what?
Dan, I thought you said it perfectly when you said they got away from the infected to make it seem, and, you know, in reality, the people are the monsters. And obviously we get to a certain point where a certain somebody is trying to do a certain something to a certain somebody else.
What are you doing?
No, because last time I tried to say something, I got kicked out. I said I was spoiling it.
I know what he's
You got me, right?
talking about, and he's doing exactly the right thing.
Thank you.
You
So a certain
covered it.
somebody
Yes.
gets reintroduced to the show, and she wants to do a certain something to a certain somebody.
Okay, now you ruined it.
You wrote it now, man.
What do you mean? How?
added
Pronouns.
pronouns and reintroduced.
The she.
The she and the reintroduced.
There's a lot of people that could be reintroduced.
No,
I don't know.
No, it's kind of
How
like
did they have a better time in
Useless.
Salt Lake City than I did?
I thought they did the monsters so
They
well
saw giraffes.
that I wanted
They did.
more
They did see
monsters.
giraffes.
Did you see
Dan,
that
but
the
you got
giraffes
giraffes,
were
man.
real? Everyone was saying that the giraffes were CGI. The giraffes ended up being real. It was everything else that's CGI. And this is that bullshit that Marvel does all the time. Everything is so CGI that you become desensitized and you can't
Wait,
separate.
the giraffes were CGI?
No,
The
They were
giraffes
real.
were the only thing that was real.
everything
else was
It
blue
was
screen.
giraffe and green screen.
Yeah, like the Salt Lake City was CGI, which, by the way, that's why they had a better time in Salt Lake
Yeah,
City. Because
they
they weren't
actually
actually good. It was just a green
They were
screen.
still in LA.
Yeah. Hat tip to the
Thank you,
producer
Yoda.
that came up with
Canada,
that.
wherever it was.
So then after she's trying to figure out what to do with the other person, somebody else gets into this mode and goes ham.
No,
What?
Tony, go sit in the penalty box
Oh,
again.
come on.
We told you
Wow,
that you could
man.
tell.
like,
you wanted to talk
walked-
You're not
this.
doing a good job.
It's like you walked
I'm
up
sorry.
to the edge.
Go sit in the penalty box.
And then, like, you just took it. I don't know. Like, you could have just stopped
You've
right
wanted
there.
to talk about this for
But
days.
then something happens when a
You
certain
can
somebody
spoil.
Go
I'm
sit
good.
in the penalty box.
Yeah,
Pedro
we said
Pascal
You can't
goes
do
on
anything,
a
eh?
killing spree.
Yeah,
They
Wait,
tried
what?
To, they tried to take her brain out,
that
dude.
was really violent.
I mean, you should have told me. You should have warned me. You
Dog.
knew it too.
Very
You know what's gonna
uncomfortable
happen
to
to
watch.
me.
Yo, let me tell you something. When you're going on that rampage in the game, so fun. Going through the
Are
hospital.
you like invincible? Because
Oh
it
my
seemed like
God.
he couldn't miss.
I read that in the game there's more of a fight.
Oh, absolutely.
In the show, he just he's
He
like
mows
boom,
through
boom,
everybody.
you're dead.
Oh, no,
boom,
it's-
boom.
it's-
Tony,
Would have loved a mushroom
go
guy in there
bam.
somewhere.
sit
Damn, but Dan at the end when he goes down to the
the
basement.
fucking penalty box.
Damn it!
I guess you gotta go now, huh?
I'm telling you, man. Like in the game, you out here,
Jeez.
you got to creep. Like because you have to crawl in a certain way as to not make noise. You got to grab stuff like that's on the counter and stuff, scissors and stab people. Oh, it's amazing. It's a great game.
Why didn't he kill the women? Like,
Well, he
he
did.
doesn't in the game. He doesn't. The nurses, he doesn't.
why
kill
doesn't
them.
he do that?
In the game, he doesn't
Well,
either.
they didn't have weapons, I guess.
Yeah, and they were
he didn't have to.
clearly terrified. They're just like, oh, leave us alone.
Hmm.
The doctor,
He did kill.
He would have
like,
left the
one of
doctor
main characters
alone.
at the end.
He would have left the doctor alone, but the doctor tried to be a hero.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was tough to watch.
How is that a surgical tool, by the way? You just got a Glock
A
in
gun?
there? Like
No, it's a zombie.
What was
apocalypse,
tough to watch, Jessica?
infected apocalypse.
Well, I mean, this is what is very up for debate about the finale. What's good for one person is bad for other people. What's good for humanity is bad for Joel. So there's all these like moral and ethical conundrums. And after we just survived, well, some of us, a pandemic that is still ongoing and killing people daily, the fact that these people are on the precipice of a cure, it's like really hard to watch, having just experienced, a lot of us seeing our friends and family get sick and die. And it was hard because you feel both sides of it, I think, very well. The show conveyed that very well. You understand the pain that Joel is in. You understand the sacrifice that they're making because Marlene is, has known this girl since she was born. But you also understand the dire need humanity has for the cure. And so I thought it was a really good, like, ethical and moral conundrum that everyone comes away with a different answer of, like, what should he do?
Yeah. And that was, Craig Mazin, who's a showrunner, said that was one of the things that originally attracted him to this story was that controversy and that conversation about what is the right thing, was Joel right or not? And if you could argue very passionately and very, I think, honestly, to either side and still walk away feeling, I don't know, though.
It's like that Hockman's razor thing, right?
Yeah.
I don't actually think,
Wrong on a couple counts.
that it's a difficult.
I mean,
Wait. What are you saying, Dan?
I'm saying that right now, if your choice is between one loved one and everyone on Earth, where we live now, you have to choose everyone on Earth. The dilemma for them is he's only got one or two people in the world, in that version of the world, that he loves.
Well, they
and
didn't
so
tell
at that
Ellie.
point,
Why didn't they tell
That-
Ellie?
yeah, that was,
she
I
would've been
think-
fine. Like
No.
he's like, did you tell Ellie? And she's like, they're like, nah.
Ellie.
In the game, in the sequel, that's like a big plot point.
Spoiler.
Well,
so she doesn't have to
That's
live.
actual
she-
spoiler.
so she doesn't have to live with the knowledge that she could have saved all of humanity. He protects her from that because he loves her, and so he's saving the one person in the world that has rekindled love for him since the loss of his own daughter.
But it's a selfish act
of course, but Dan,
disguised as a selfless one because of how he positions it by fibbing.
But also, it's a world where they are not hopeful that this could actually even happen, right?
right? Like I think that's also part of it. Is like there's no guarantee
Like,
that.
they've been saying there's going to be a cure for 20
Right.
years.
So like within that backdrop, Dan, like I'm kind of surprised you say it's not a hard decision. Actually, it is, man.
Well, I'm saying that it's not a hard decision as posed to the people who are presently contemplating it in the world we exist in. We don't exist in the world that they're in, where he just has so few people that he cares about, and the world is in such disarray. Do you even want to save all these other people who are behaving like animals?
Like that creepy guy
to
in the
be
episode
clear-
before.
Yeah.
Zombie lives matter.
Dan, so let me be clear.
Infected lives.
Let me be clear here, Dan. Right now, in our world today, if there was something like a cure to some unimaginable disease, and the cure is in Valerie's brain, you're going to sit down and be like, Val, I think you got to do this. You got to take this L for the team. That's what you would say?
I think Valerie would be like, I'll do it. Valerie seems like someone that would do this. And
she
she's a
would.
grown woman who can make choices.
But-
That's what's difficult is that Ellie, she's
Is a
young. So
child.
like, can she even really like consent to this? But they don't give her the option in the show.
But beyond
Sorry to
child
speak
or
for
not,
Valerie.
child or not,
Women's
like,
planning.
whatever.
I follow her on IG. Seems like she'd do it.
I'm Jessica Smetana on behalf of women.
Let's just assume.
I'm just speaking for Valerie
Let's
because
just
I would not
assume-
do this.
Let's
You
assume
guys
that
are
Valerie
rude.
is like skittish or like I don't know. Dan, you're telling me you'd be sitting down there like campaigning for her to do, like, hey, honey, you got to do this.
No, I'm
That's
not
the
saying
point.
that, but I live in this world.
I say in this world, Dan. I'm
I
saying in
can't
this,
imagine what that.
Salt Lake
do you know
City
how
sucks
quickly
in
I would
both
be?
worlds.
Do you know how quickly I'd be dead in that world?
Dan, let me put it this way:
You'd be a big, meaty portobello mushroom.
cancer.
Loader.
Cancer's a really bad disease. It kills a lot of people. It's awful, right? Valerie might have the cure to cancer in her brain. You're saying to Valerie, it's the only chance we have to cure this awful disease?
The hypothetical as it's presented to me in this is him falling or having a love for a girl that he met about 6 months ago.
Valerie would volunteer for it. That's
It's not
all I'm
his
saying. I
actual
know her,
daughter.
and she's saying, "Cut me up. Take my brain out."
Permission to treat the witness as hostile.
Yeah, he's John Moranting you right now.
Dan,
Isn't it true, Dan Le Batard, that you would never say that to Valerie? In fact, you would protect her and maybe even shoot the doctor who's trying to do the operation.
let's add something to it, Dan. What if you could cure cancer and save like 1,000 kitties? Valerie's doing this.
Hockman
She
Razor.
loves kitties.
Nailed it.